Today, we become legends.
Hey, apologies for my voice in this one. I thought I was coming down with something yesterday, and it turns out I absolutely am. I'm very sick right now, but I still want to bring you guys this quick patch day recap for Year 11. So, Smite's Year 11 update brings a ton of changes to the game, such as teleporters, comets, reworks to stacking items and relics, and so much more. Here's your quick patch day breakdown of everything you need to know. First up, as always, the skins. Cyber Chief Raven is the ranked reward for Year 11, which you can unlock as soon as you win 75 ranked games. There are also 6 cross-gen skins in the Immortal Honor event that, if bought in Smite 1, will be immediately available in Smite 2. These are for Sol, Ymir, Anubis, Yamoja, Fenrir, and King Arthur. Divine Legacy is another event related to Smite 2 in which your progress for every year of Smite so far is tracked, and you can earn points towards unlocking things such as titles, the King Arthur cross-gen skin, chests that let you pick your own unlimited tier 4 and tier 5 skin from any point in Smite's history, as well as skins specifically for Smite 2 and over 65 legacy badges that will show your Smite 1 progress in Smite 2. Moving on to gameplay, first up, Celestial Comets will now spawn in every Smite game mode at 90 seconds into the match. They will crash down in a lane and can be hit by basic attacks to break off chunks of rock. Pick these up for some small golden experience. Once fully destroyed, the comets will drop Indra's Scepter, which passively damages enemies near the holder. After a certain amount of time, a new comet will spawn, and after all tier 1 towers have been destroyed, the comets will cease. Joust will be moving back to the Jade Corruption map this update, but Duel will stay on the Season 3 Chinese map for now. For Conquest, Green Buff and Chess Camp have swapped locations, and Green Buff now has roaming harpies. The Gold and Silver buffs have also been moved to small offshoots on the sides of Duo and Solo lane to make way for the new mechanic in Year 11, the teleporters. Standing on these pads for 4.5 seconds will teleport any and all players on the pad to the opposite pad. There is a cooldown of 2 minutes on teleporting again, but this is specific to you and not global for the pad. If you teleport, another ally or enemy can follow you immediately, but you won't be able to immediately teleport back. You'll have to wait 2 minutes. These teleporters spawn at 8 minutes in, and before this there will be a Naga camp in which you can gain some XP and gold. Tower Bastions are a bit more tanky now, but also reward more gold. Crimson Totem had its Lifesteal buffed, and Golden Totem now has 5 flat penetration in addition to its % penetration. Another new mechanic for Conquest in Year 11 is the Cyclops Rogue Shop. Every other Cyclops Rogue that is defeated in the jungle will spawn a jungle shop that can be used by allies for 60 seconds, after which it disappears. This shop is just like being in the fountain, and you can buy anything you want with no limitations. The Stygian Beacon is staying for Year 11, but Unleashed Titans are not. Instead of unleashing Titans, capturing the beacon will now do direct damage to the furthest forward enemy structure in every lane. This damage scales up with each capture of the beacon. This damage can destroy towers, but not phoenixes. Fire Giant has a new beam attack in its rotation that follows you, ending in a knockback, as well as the effigy, which now spawns in the Fire Giant pit and causes FG to take 15% more damage for 15 seconds once destroyed. All 3 ranked game modes will be hard reset in Year 11, and there will be a soft reset every other patch starting in 11.3. These gods are now banned from Duel in 11.1, while these gods are now unbanned from Duel in 11.1. Recipes are completely removed in Year 11, but some of their effects have been added as new passive shards. The Golden Shard has a weaker version of Golden Gooseberry's AoE basic attacks. Sturdy Shard has a slightly weaker version of Sturdy Stew's effect that pulses protections when you're hit by a hard CC. And Vibrant Shard has a weaker Party Punch effect, boosting your next attack for every 100 units traveled. To make room for these, Claw and Carapace Shard have been removed from the game in 11.1. The Relic system is getting a rework in Year 11 as well, with all relics now only upgrading into one tier 3 version and can now be upgraded via a quest to kill or assist minions for the first upgrade and deal instances of damage or CC to enemy gods for the second upgrade. With only one upgrade, many of the other branches for the relics have been removed or folded into each other so that you only have one upgrade. Here's a full list of which branches are gone, which are staying, and which were folded into each other. Pause the video if you want to take a closer look. We also got one new relic with this rework called Divine Barrier, which deploys a wall of light in front of you that reduces enemy basic attack damage through it and slows enemies that walk through it. At max rank, the barrier also increases allied basic attack damage through it. Mana Chalice has been removed from the game in 11.1. We also have 2 new wards for Year 11, the Proximity Ward, which has a smaller ward area than normal but will explode when an enemy gets near it, slowing all enemies in a large area for 3 seconds and revealing them for 10 seconds. While Raven Ward sends forward a Raven in a long line that grants vision of any enemies within 50 units of that line. Lifesteal is also being overhauled in 11.1, with all sources of lifesteal across the board being increased, but you will now now only lifesteal 50% of the original value from minions and jungle monsters. In effect, this means lifesteal is a bit weaker than before for passive sustaining, but stronger than before in terms of team fighting and boxing. The caps for lifesteal have been raised in accordance with this increase as well. We also have a new lifesteal item for physical gods. Crimson Claws builds from the gauntlet tree and comes with power, attack speed, and lifesteal, with a passive that allows your lifesteal to overheal you as a shield up to 15% of your max health. In a similar vein, Rejuvenating Heart has been reworked to now heal nearby allies for 1/3 of any lifesteal you get, and now has base lifesteal on the item itself. Another large overhaul in 11.1 comes for stacking items. Similar to Relic, stacking items now require quests to stack rather than minion last hits. The requirement is to deal damage to enemy gods or minions, with god damage counting as double. The damage required scales up based on the stat count of the item. Other than that, these items remain basically the same. 3 items from previous seasons of Smite are returning in year 11: Void Shield, Void Domaru, which is a reskin of Voidstone, as well as Blackthorn Hammer. In line with the Bruiser item changes from year 10, Void Shield and Domaru don't have any power on them now. Some new glyphs are hitting the battleground for 11.1 as well. First up, Devoted Deathbringer, which multiplies your crit chance by 1.3 and grants 10 physical power for every 5% crit chance you go over the cap. Envenom Deathbringer has been removed to make room for this glyph, but its effect has been moved to the Executioner, which is replacing Heavy Executioner. We also have some small additional balancing to items. Mannequin Scepter lost its physical protection in favor of some attack speed. Mannequin Hidden Blade is similar, losing its damage reduction to gain attack speed, as well as adjusting the slow so it's stronger but shorter. Mannequin Mace also gets 5% more attack speed. Eye of the Jungle lost its attack speed to gain 7 physical protections. Protector of the Jungle is similar, losing attack speed and some physical protection to gain 25 magical protection. Spartan Flag no longer has power, but now has 35 of each protections and more passive attack speed. The 3 hammers have all been shifted to have more power but less health, with Runeforge getting a small cost increase and Frostbound getting a lower internal cooldown on the passive effect as well. Gem of Isolation gets more health, a lower internal cooldown, and lower cost. Shadow Drinker's stealth effect now lasts 5 seconds instead of 3. Mystical Mail gains 5 physical protection, more damage per level on its effect, and a slightly lowered cost. Shogun's Kusari traded 10% cooldown for 10% attack speed. Transcendence traded 10% cooldown for 10 flat penetration on evolving. Pythags traded 10% cooldown for 5 power and 50 health. And Potion of Power traded 10% cooldown for 10 flat penetration. And finally, God Balance for year 11. First up, class passives has been removed from the game entirely in 11.1. Daji gets more scaling and a stronger slow on her 1. Cleaner gets a lower cooldown on her ultimate. Tsukuyomi gets more health and mana healing from its basic attacks. Artio gets a reduced cooldown on her Druid form 3. Kabrakan gets a reduced cooldown on his 1. Kumba gets more damage on his 1. Fafnir gets a stronger self-heal on his 2. Charybdis item damage reduction has been lowered on her basic attacks and the scaling of Spike Shot has been increased. Neithel gains 5 base damage and 5% scaling. Eset ult now requires less total damage to fully charge. Tiamat's Summon Beast slow is now weaker but longer. Consume now executes at 50% health at all ranks. And both her stance changes have a slightly reduced cooldown in the early game but the same late game. Merlin's stance switch is getting a similar treatment. Guan Yu's 1 now has a lowered mana cost. Vamana's passive attack speed conversion is now 15% instead of 10%, and his ult base duration and extended max duration are both a 1 second longer. Osiris attack speed debuff from Tether now scales up with rank to 30% when it was 20% flat before, and his ult gets 5 seconds off its cooldown. Odin's passive now gives less per stack but requires less stacks. The stats remain the same, it just now takes 4 stacks to hit max rather than 5. And finally, Bakekujira's protection to basic attack damage conversion was nerfed from 30% to 25%. But that's everything you need to know for year 11 Smite. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed this quick patch day recap, and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.